didn't see you. In choosing the concepts of chivalry and equality, we really hope to explore the concepts of chivalry and equality and their evolution through time, and especially given the dynamics between men and women, particularly in the last 50 to 75 years, we wanted to consider these concepts and how they stand now in relationship to one another. So we thought we'd start off by providing you with the textbook definition of chivalry and equality from our old friend the Merriam-Webster. They define chivalry as the sum of the ideal qualifications of a knight, including courtesy, generosity, valor, and dexterity in arm. Equality is defined as the state or quality of being equal, correspondence in quantity, degree, rank, value, or ability. So, historically speaking, at least with particular emphasis on what we would now call, I suppose, the Western world, chivalry has always been sort of the code of conduct that's been established in the dynamics between men and women. Societies have always been very patriarchal, based around the man. So we saw this in the 19th through the 14th to 15th centuries, during the Middle Ages and during the Renaissance era with the practice of primogeniture. Even as we skip forward into the Victorian era, the values of which certainly transcended the boundaries of geography and took root in the United States for a time, man remained in an ultimate position of power, control, and responsibility over the woman and over the entire household. So even in the Victorian era, perhaps there was a slightly altered view on the female sex, but it was still largely based around the man, and there were traditional views of the male as the head. During the Edwardian era, we begin to see a shift in the ways that women are their political, their economic, their human, and their vocational rights. It starts to move at least towards the forefront of popular conversation, but it remains a very, very controversial issue for quite a while. Let's take this outside, shall we? But even as we skip ahead into more current times, during the 1900s, I think that it's fair to say that still, for at least the former part of the 20th century, chivalry was still effectually paramount to equality in most respects, both in ideals and in practice. So now in the modern day dynamic between men and women, it's possible that we're sort of in a time of a transitional phase, if you will, between chivalry and equality, where we really want to hold on, in a certain sense, to the idea of a man taking care of a woman and having respect towards her, but we want to sort of reject all of the older, long-standing ideas of, man taking precedence over the woman in all affairs and looking at it from a perspective of bigotry and superiority. Now it's sort of changing into a position of equality, but it's more of a thing of keeping the mutual respect while trying to maintain this sort of delicate balance in this system of equality in which we're now functioning. As a little personal anecdote, I was on BART one day during the summer, and it was really full. It was the end of the business day, so there were a lot of men and women in their business suits, sitting down in the cabins of the BART, and then the rest of the people were all standing up. And at one of the stops, this really pregnant lady walks in. She looked exhausted. Her feet were swollen. She looked really hot and tired. And the doors closed, the train started going, and nobody offered her a seat. The men in there, sitting down, perfectly capable men. I'm not talking old men. I'm talking, young working age men. They didn't get up out of their seats. They just sort of looked at her, and went back to their iPhones or their Blackberries or what have you. And but my mom, she saw this, and so she offered the woman her seat, and the woman was really thankful, but she was obvious that she was really tired and she really needed a seat, and just the fact that no, man or woman, but man really is what I'm focusing on here, the fact that none of them offered her a seat was really drawing to me, and I think it speaks to a little bit sort of this change between chivalry and equality that we're sort of discussing.
Do you like being chivalrous?
Sure, to a certain extent.
Yes, very important quality, because if you don't treat people with respect, you won't receive respect.
Yeah, it's necessary just to show people a certain level of respect, and that's just by common courtesy, which is just basic chivalry.
I'd say it's courteous. So
Yeah,
like,
you gotta do something.
yeah.
Do you think guys should open
Yeah,
doors?
I think it's respectable and I think it's a nice thing to do. It just shows a lot of respect for the girl.
Do you like when guys open doors for you?
Yes.
Why?
Makes me feel special.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Because it lets you know that they're like being respectful and considerate.
I like guys opening doors. It makes me feel kind of special.
It kind of like, it brightens your day when guys are chivalrous. It's nice.
Do you think chivalry and equality can coexist?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
But also some women get offended. They think, I can hold the door for myself. I don't know, it's hard. It kind of depends on what the girl wants. I think that showing respect and showing that you don't think you're better than the girl is really important, and that's what chivalry means to me.
Is chivalry based on gender roles? Why or why not?
Yes.
Not really.
How is it not? I don't get it. I mean, isn't its origin with the knights and all that and the classes and the idea that women are suddenly ladies and they sit in their gardens and they read their Bible comic books, and then you have men who elevate women, put them on a pedestal, and so everything is for a woman's honor, etc., etc.
I think that it's more, just guys trying to, make it easier for girls. Because that's how they show that they care in some ways.
Do you think that, in your opinion, chivalry and equality can coexist?
Yeah. It presumes that one sex is objectified and therefore needs to be protected the way one would protect, say, a house.
So we were wondering just quickly if you could comment on the evolution of chivalry and equality over time, and if you think for example, one's taken precedence over the other, or if they've sort of remained the same.
I think that nothing has really changed. Although probably one of the mistakes that the feminist movement made was to try to claim that all gender differences were created by society and the societal roles that were imposed upon people when they were small and so forth.
Okay, chivalry is not alive and well. I do think there is less chivalry in general. I think part of it is because of the feminist movement.
Chivalry was all about the strong male protecting the weak female, which is inherently sexist, if you think about it. Yet, we also have manners in our society that are all about protecting people that are struggling to protect themselves, right? So, and manners are ways of decorum that we approach one another. And so I think you can lose in the fight for equality. You can lose manners.
So do you think that chivalry and equality can coexist?
I absolutely think they can coexist. But I think that the word chivalry gets us into some really, really dangerous space. If you look at the definition of the word itself, basically, it comes from Middle Ages knights, and so we start looking at the hyper masculine male who will fight to the death for, in many respects, no good reason, except for their tribal-centric ideas of what is right and wrong get insulted. And then the damsel in distress, in the tower of the castle, and so it's pretty archaic. It's pretty old. It's really old school, and indeed kind of inappropriate. So what does it mean today? Well, I actually think it's very nice when you see manners extended from a male to a female, when it shows a level of respect, camaraderie, and equality. And that can go both ways, and it can be different. In other words, chivalry from a male to a female might still be opening a car door, It might also, from a female to a male, it might be something like, a gracious offering to purchase dinner, as opposed to, just letting the guy pay all the time. What happens then? You get deeper equality, and you enhance manners.
short 44 pairs of socks and have them hanging on the line. I can start you 9 2 shirts before you can count from 1 to 9. I can scoop up a great big dipper full of lard from the drippings can. Throw it in the skillet, go out and do my shopping, be back before it melts in the pan. 'Cause I'm a woman, W-O-M-A-N. I'll say it again. I can rub and scrub this whole house till it's shining like a dime. Feed the baby, grease the car, and powder my face at the same time. Get all dressed up, go out and swing till 4 a.m. and then lay down at 5, jump up at 6 and start all over